What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Definitely appreciate the support. This video, I think this would be the first time I'll actually do this. I've had videos where I've went on my thinking throughout a drive, throughout a couple of drives offensively, but I don't think I've ever done a video where I went the same ordeal, but on the defensive side of the ball in regards to, what I'm thinking, how to deal with my opponent and adjustments and etc. So that's what I'm gonna do with this video. And what you see on the screen, obviously you guys know what this is. I didn't put everything underneath the buckets of 2-man 0-3-1, and I'm missing a lot of stuff under 4, but I'm just putting up primarily what I ended up playing in this game. I didn't play a lot of this stuff, okay, but this is just kind of to give you an idea of just the many different things you can do, okay? So first and foremost, you guys should know what spot drop, cover 4 and 2 zone is. Now the rest of this stuff is with match on. So this is the red line. Okay. So you guys know when you play cover 4 quarters what that does. Cover 4 palms, you guys know what that does. Now stubby, okay? Stubby is what palms plays against. It's the check in Madden when you play palms against 3x1 sets. Okay. So what you see in blue are checks, right? Different defenses you can play to check against a specific look, right? So what's kick? Well, kick is the check that it plays when you play regular quarters against 3x1 sets. So maybe I'll leave a link for those type of videos, okay? Or I'll make a different video. Now, what is steal though? What is steal coverage? Okay. Now, the reason why I have it half and half is because this coverage is not in the game, but there's a way where we can kind of simulate the steal coverage in the game, okay? And I'm going to show you that in this video, a brief overlook of that, and then maybe I'll provide a link to a video where I go into specific detail about the steal coverage, okay? Now, if you're wondering, man, what's the point of all this stuff, right? What's the point of, why would you play cover 2 sync as opposed to cover 2 match? Why would you play cover 2 as opposed to cover 2 invert? The whole point of all of these different variants in these coverages, basically this is a toolbox, okay? This whole canvas here is a toolbox. What you are when you play the game, you're a defensive coordinator or an offensive coordinator. That's what you are, right? And you just, you obviously have more control than that. But then at the end of the day, you should think more so in terms of offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. What is the offense doing? And this is our toolbox. What are we going to call to solve the problem, right? They're presenting you a problem. So what's the best solution for that problem? And this is where you reach into your toolbox and grab one of these tools, right? You're looking for the optimal solution. That's all this is, right? And the beauty of learning this stuff is I don't care if it's Madden 24, Madden 25, Madden 26, Madden 27, right? These are all concepts that you can take with you forever, right? So once you learn what steal coverage is all about, what it's designed to do, what it's designed to stop, in Madden 26, when it comes out, okay, when you run into the problem that steal is good against, you'll know, you won't even have to look online, hey, how do I stop crossing patterns, in this particular set? You'll already know, okay, I know steal coverage is good against it, so how can I simulate steal coverage in the game? If you get my drift, right? Or you're having an issue against a specific coverage and the kick coverage is the optimal solution against what your opponent is doing. Well, in Madden 26, you don't necessarily have to go look for answers. You'll know, hey, I need to play a kick coverage. And if that Madden doesn't have it in the game, you can try to figure out a way to simulate it, right? Take a different coverage, fool around with it, and see if you can make it out, right? So that's the whole point, man. When you learn all these different concepts, you're good to go for forever, right? So why don't I go to the game and stop running my mouth? Okay, guys, first play of the game. So he's coming out in gun bunch wide. I will provide a link here for my defensive philosophy video that I made, I think in Madden 20 or Madden 21. Definitely go check that out if you haven't. Again, concepts are all the same. It doesn't matter if it's a few years back. You can utilize the stuff I'm talking about in that video for any Madden from this point forward. It's just, the way I think of things in regards to coverages and how to deal with specific formations. I think you should think more so in terms of what shell coverage should you deal should you play to deal with certain formations as opposed to place, right? And I think when you think more so in terms of that realm, I think you'll play a lot better on the defensive side of the ball. Again, you're pretty much a defensive coordinator, right? And I think if you think more so along those lines, you'll be better off. So what shell coverage do I don't like playing against gun bunch wide? That's the type of stuff. And then what shell coverage do you love playing against it? And then you pick a variant based upon what your opponent is doing. Now, being that this is the first play of the game, I think more so in terms of generalizations, right? Uh, and I go from there, right? So what do I love to play against like bunch type sets? Okay, when I'm dealing with a particular player, and if they provide problems, then I reach in the toolbox and find the solution for that problem. Okay, I like to play the steal coverage. Okay, now how do you play steal coverage? You got to play cover 9, and maybe I will provide a link to cover 9 so you guys can actually get a feel for how to play the steal coverage and etc. So obviously I turn on match, and we go from there. First play, I think he's just going to run like some type of inside zone. And when I play the steal coverage, okay, I user the corner. So obviously, definitely go check out my video about steal, shift, and I think what's going to happen is they're going to run inside zone. I mean, this is good stuff to kind of. So what is inside zone, right? Obviously, this is play side, so he should block him. And this is where they should get a double team, block, and they should peel for the second level defender. And I believe my linebacker inside is able to wrap around and make a play. This guy does a good job holding up the double team here. Exactly what happens, wraps around, makes a play. Okay, next play, I'm still in cover 9 steal. He's playing no huddle. Okay, that's fine. So the route combination, he goes to the flat. I come inside like this. And number 1 runs deep up the field. Okay. Now what cover 9 does is it plays like a steal type coverage. So this is why I call it steal. So when you play cover 9 against bunch type sets, it does check in the steal. Okay. And what steal does is these guys are locked up man to man on these 2 players. Okay. So what does that do for our team? Well, then it frees up this player. Okay, basically why it's called steal is we are stealing a backside defender and utilizing him front side. Okay, think about what offenses are doing when they're in trips type sets, when they're in 3x1 type sets. What are they doing? They are overloading our side, of this side of the defense. Okay, where they can run like flood type concepts, sail, and etc. And it puts a lot of stress on the defense. Well, guess what? We can overload that side as well, right? And that's what steal coverage is all about. It's a very deceptive and trappy type of defense. I went on I went on a tear. I would say maybe 3.5, 4 weeks, where all I played was cover 9 steal. That's all I played, right? I like to do that so I can get a better feel for what it's good against, the type of problems it solves, and etc. So I got really good with cover 9 and the steal type variant. Okay, so I already know against this, these guys are automatically man, so you don't even have to come over here and turn them into man, right? So that you don't have to waste time doing that. You don't have to do anything with the safety. He will. So what he does is he's looking for a crossing pattern from the bunch side. And whenever he gets that crossing type action deep down the field, he will cut the route off with inside leverage and man it up all the way, right? That's the beauty of the coverage. And the coverage is designed, I like to move the safety further out. Basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to give the illusion, remember, steal is under the cover 4 side, which is middle of the field open. We want to give the illusion that the middle of the field is wide open, right? So when you move this player further outside, it's just even more inviting for the offense to send like a post pattern or a crossing pattern. Steal was designed to combat the air raid Y cross. right? So definitely click the link. I'll get into specific detail in that video, okay? Because I'm already going off the rails here. But what you will see is with this crossing pattern here, because he doesn't run at a deep depth and this player stays in the block, I believe, our quarter flat player is free to roam, right? So now he's able to cut off this route, and now the safety doesn't have to take that route, so he provides post control in this area, okay? And there's different things we do as this player, as a user, but again, check out my video on steel coverage. Hopefully I have it and I'll provide a link, okay? I forgot what happens here. You see how he's able to take this route because the back stayed in the block, right? So that's a great thing about steel coverage. We're able to pass off routes. If guys stay in the block and I have nothing to do, then he can pick up across it from the front side. And now the safety is providing post control here. So I'll just go ahead and play it. You get a nice hit. Okay. So he goes gun doubles Y flex. So this is a formation. It's a 2x2 set where the 4-2-2-0-3-1, there's nothing that I don't want to play. I can play pretty much anything. So then I just go with what I'm most comfortable with at the moment. And then once I analyze what my opponent is doing from this formation, then it kind of condenses down to more optimal stuff I can play, right? So at the moment, I'm like, you know what? I'll just play a cover 2 match against this, okay? I'll come out and cover 2 match. You guys know the rules on that. I'll provide a link here. And you guys know that you have to user the middle player. And what are we doing against 2x2 sets? I believe one of you guys asked, what do you do while playing cover 2 match against 2x2 sets? And obviously the reason why you asked that is because I think the only thing I've shown while playing cover 2 matches against empty sets, so like 3x2 sets, I haven't shown 3x1 or 2x2. And that's the beauty of cover 2. I mean, the whole point, if you want to be a cover 2 team, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you learn the variants of cover 2, you can check in and out of different variants of cover 2 to solve problems and etc. And, you know, the beauty of cover 2 is everything is a lot more simple, right? As opposed to cover 4. I was listening to an interview by Mike Martz, the head coach and the offensive coordinator for the Greatest Show on Turf. You guys know the team with Kurt Warner, you know, Marshall Falk, Isaac Bruce. Those guys were just lighting the league on fire offensively, okay? They would still kill it now if they were in their prime, okay? And a lot of the things what they did, it was a lot of shifting, a lot of motion. If you don't know what a shift is where pre-snap, let me move back a little bit. Pre-snap, motion is where one player moves, right? Horizontally, and then he sets here, right? So now a mere motion across the formation changes the passing strength of the formation. So before, it's 3 players on this side and 2 on this side. So the passing strength, let's just go with it, would be this side of the field. And then when they motion over here, okay, now it's a 3 on this side. Now the passing strength changed. Now you may not think that that's a big deal, but that is a big deal in regards to the rules and assignments of the defense in a lot of the different coverages, right? Think about quarters coverage. You play quarters against this set. How about let's think about palms? Okay, palms coverage. Where, well, he's reading 2-to-1 and he's reading 2-to-1 to trap this player, right? If he goes out, I take him, and I'm reading 2-to-1. When 2 goes out, I know I have to man up number 1, right? Well, if this guy motions here, well, now everything changes, okay? So now 1, 2, 3. So now this player is reading 3-to-2. This player is reading 3-to-2. Okay, he's the 3, relate to the number 3. And then this player is reading the tight end here. If he goes underneath, he has to cut the route, right? If he runs vertical, well, then he relates to the vertical of number 3. I mean, there's just a lot of different rules that change based off of just one motion, right? As opposed to what I'm playing now, cover 2 match. Okay. Cover two match, you guys, one of you guys asked, what do you do against 2x2 sets, right? Well, nothing changes. Okay. I still relate to the number 3. That's it. And, in the interview with Mike Martz, he was like, we would shift and then we would motion to see what our opponent would do, right? And basically what they were trying to do, he said, is they were trying to manipulate the run force defender. Because obviously a lot of teams would make mistakes with all of the shifting and motion, your rules change. Now you're thinking and you're not playing, right? Hey, this guy moved over here. I'm not reading, 2-1 now. I'm reading 3-2. I'm reading Q to 3-2, and then they shift, they motion right back. And you got to go back to, and a lot of times he said when they would motion, the front 7 would flip the front. It would be like a fire show, he said. Okay. And by the time you get your hand in the ground from shifting, they would just snap the ball. Okay. Run force to fit defender is wrong in his gap responsibilities based off the shift. It's just a lot of problems with that, right? And basically what they were trying to do at some point, he said, the defensive coordinator would just say, skip that. We're not doing that. We're just going to play a vanilla coverage against this guy so we don't get messed up in our rules. And he said that's when they would really go to work on you, because now we know you're just sitting in a vanilla cover 2 and etc. Right? But that's the difference, though. If you're really good in cover 2, okay, you can play cover 2 against that stuff and be fine, right? Because in cover 2, when motion, shifting, and all that, a lot of the rules don't change. And that's one of the advantages of being a cover 2 team. Okay. So when you guys asked, obviously, what I showed against the empty sets, the rules, but what do you do in 2x2 sets? Well, it's the same thing, right? It's the exact same thing. So what are we doing with this player? We're relating to the number 3. That's it. Okay. So what happens if he goes out and this guy goes in? Well, we're still relating to the number 3, but he's not the number 3 anymore, right? At this point in the route distribution, he's 3, he's 2. But when they cross and mesh here, he's now the 2 and he's now the 3. Because if you count in from the sideline, 1, 2, 3, right? So we still relate to the number 3. He pushes out, and then we pick up this guy, and now we are playing the same deal, inside leverage of the number 3. Okay. I believe he runs something like this. Okay, and this can be an issue against cover 2 match. Sometimes they do play it very well, where this guy plays like how cover 2 Buster would, and he would trap this, right? We can just go ahead and watch it. Okay, see, watch how I'm playing towards this way. Okay, and I'm waiting for him to come inside, but he doesn't, so he goes out. Okay, and he throws it underneath, and he's lucky it doesn't get an interception. So where should he have thrown? Right there. Okay, so again, he's high-lowing. That's the whole deal with the flood concept here, and he just misread it. And that's the whole deal with cover 2 match. You got to be perfect. You got to be perfect, and that's what I love about cover 2 match. Sometimes they throw it, and they're just wrong, because sometimes the corner will jump that, and other times it seems the corner will stay in the window of that outside sail type pattern. Okay. All right, here we get an interception. And this is what, this type of concept here, what set me off in the cover 2 field. This is what my opponent did. Okay. And remember, this is why before, you guys know, I never played cover 2. I thought cover 2 was garbage, right? And the reason why I thought cover 2 was always bad is because, a structured offense is just going to high-low it to death, stretch defenders, make the corner never right, make the second defender in never right. I mean, just a basic offense could shred it, right? 4 verts all over the place. And then it hit me. It's like, well, I was playing against a guy who was doing stuff just like this. And, if I was in man-to-man coverage, it was a problem, because they were just running away from man and busting wide open. And then you get people running into each other because it's like a mesh type deal. and you got a lot of crossing, etc. Right? It become a problem, and it hit me. It's like, well, what do I do against this? I'm having a lot of trouble with this. Now, obviously, you can play certain type of zones to deal with it, and then it hit me. It's like, well, none of his routes complement each other at all. There's no structure. They're just hot route slant, hot route slant, hot route slant, hot route whip, right? It's just changing the entire play. Hey guys, get open, right? Run away from man, get open. And then that's what hit me like, hey, why don't I play cover two? It's crap when guys are getting high load and the routes are structured in a way to where they complement each other. But in stuff like this, where the routes don't make sense, they don't complement each other at all, this is where cover two is excellent, right? And then that's what set me off. I started playing a lot more cover two, and then that's when I figured out cover two match and all of the different matching deals, and then I just went off from there. You know what I mean? So you're not playing against Andy Reid. You're not playing against, head coaches who are doing, route combinations and etc. You're playing against just your average Joe who wants to have fun, right? So they do stuff like this, and this is where you can play cover two and get interceptions, right? So what's the problem with these route combinations, right? No defender is getting stretched, right? I'm not getting horizontally stretched. I can just hang in this window here, right? This guy's coming out. He'll eventually come out right into me where I out leverage that. He has a flat going out here too, so I'm taking out two routes with one guy. You're slanting into defenders who's has superior leverage inside. The only route combination that makes sense are these double slants. So I'll provide a link here. This is a route combination. They call it Lion, okay? And it's good against double high. So it's perfect against this type of defense. And you'll see it actually gets open because that's what the concept is designed to do. How you're supposed to read this concept in double slants. They actually run it wrong in Madden, okay? You're supposed to run, I believe, a 1 yard now slant, and this guy a 3-step slant, okay? But they don't in Madden. There is a play that they do run it, and that's in the Raiders book. I'm not going to get into that. However, you're reading this player as an offense, okay? If he steps underneath this now slant, well, then this window is wide open for the backside slant. And why is that? That's because he's playing outside leverage as a clout flat defender in cover two zone, pushing him. He doesn't want him to get outside, but I'm not going outside. I'm going inside. And you're doing that because you have help to the inside. The problem is we are manipulating this player. The second I go under this route, I can throw this under, but if you overplay this, well, now the window's open. I think I had it wrong the way I said it right before, okay? So you'll see that here. That's the problem. Your opponent isn't playing in rhythm like that, right? He's just waiting for guys to get open later. Get open. He's not thinking about, route combinations and reading the player. They're not doing that. You'll see it here. Interception. We score. But I want you to watch this side. So go check. If you haven't watched my video on the lion concept, definitely go check it out. But obviously our opponent does not see that. Okay, look, he plays kind of under the slant, right? You'd be reading this player. Okay, you take this away, but now this window is wide open. You can fit a ball right in there, right? You have to beat this guy inside, right? You just have to trust it. And it's there. It's small, but I mean, that window is there, right? But, obviously our opponent not thinking about that, right? They're not thinking about route combinations and etc. So we get an interception. Move on to the next play. Okay, guys, that'll be part one of that defensive video that I was going to drop. I was going to have it all one video, but I think it's just too long. So that's part one, just that first drive. And then the next video will take care of the second drive, and then that'll be the end of the video. All right, thanks, man.